forgetting this water. Can't forget the water. Ended up checking that last video, recognizing that the mic went out halfway in, or not even halfway in, but towards the end of it, which is okay. Just means I was done talking, right? If it was really that important, it would be rehearsed in a way, right? You know, I got what I got, which was out, right? Better out than in. What we got going on right now, though? About an hour here. Another hour. Before we start the next shifting day. My rhythm. Funny, right? That they talk about 9 to 5, but then you really have jobs that are not 9 to 5. They're actually 8 to 4, or they're actually 8 to 5, right? Like I would take an 8 to 4, and then not being able to like even being able to work through lunch, right? You know, like for me personally, lunch is more like an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what problem I left. You know, to go eat lunch. And depending what problem I'm coming back to after I eat lunch. I am definitely a different being. I've come to just accept it. I'm a different being when I'm hungry. Or when I am lacking in a source of, not necessarily meditation, you know what I mean, as far as meals go, but a source of like, okay, I've been able to just I've been able to sit in peace and just eat. You know what I mean? Because like I don't expect anybody to. I got some notifications on there. I don't expect anyone to be talking when they're eating. They're eating. Which reminds me, I'm about to get me a bowl of cereal here. Because Lord knows I'll be making this chili. We're making some turkey chili today. So, to make a long story short, I thought this was ground beef, right? When I had taken it out of the freezer compartment, you know, and bring it back down, but then when I saw it was actually turkey, I was like, okay, that's fine, that's cool. We can update the diet. We got the bird to herd, you know, like it's okay, it's not that big a deal. It's all meat. At a certain point, it's all, right? And so I was like, okay, well, bet, right? I got the milk. I'll just make some hamburger helper without hamburger, right? We got this turkey lurkey, but it's okay. You know, like I said, we were already there. But there comes days where you have meals, like for me, like right now, we are cooking into the day, right? Like into the day is how I'm cooking. Because by the end of the day, I don't want to be cooking anymore, right? Like I don't want to be in the kitchen, not a bit more. I'll spend the entire morning being in the kitchen, and everything has been put away by the afternoons, right? Baker's hours, basically. Which I didn't realize what that was. So, you know, like I said, going back to that schedule of, 9 to 5, 8 to 5, 9 to 4. If I had my way, if I ruled the world, full time would be 30 hours. Full time would be 30 hours. I wouldn't even say like across. However you want to make that math work. Full time would be 30 hours, not 40 hours. 40 hours it would just be when you are no longer. Like 40 hours is when overtime would activate. 30 hours is when full time would activate. Right? And then 40 hours is when overtime activates. So even though you could come to work and you get like 32, 36 hours, right? You're a full-time employee. You're a full-time employee at 32, 36 hours on average, because what ends up happening, right, is you get 1 week where you have 18 hours and the next week you have 48 hours. Right? You basically work a week and a day of double. But then your average goes down. right? Then your average peaks down right before 38.5, right? 37 hours, 37 and a half, something like that. And then they call you not full time, which is wrong, in my opinion, because that's you can already predict that through wave, right? Especially if they hired you for a full time role, right? If they hired you for seasonal, you can't really say anything. If they hired you for part time, and they're exceeding, right? They're exceeding that 30-hour limit. That's when flag on the play comes into play. But what are we doing here? We are getting the other half of this. It's been chill. I can say that much. Like I said, I'm now cooking. Oh, so back to this story. So I had this turkey. That and to be honest and frank with you, I've never had ground turkey in a way that made me go like, oh, that's ground turkey. Like that's what we're cooking today, or that's what we're cooking with today. That's not something that's been, it was always ground beef for the most part. So I thought I had stroganoff in the cupboard. Turns out I did not have stroganoff. So I was about to go full blown, like from scratch, from the hip. Let's make this happen. But then I got tired, which is what happens, right? Which is, like I said, when you have meals that you've been cooking all day, the reason why you get up and cook these meals all day, and like I said, this is one of those things, Mom, in regards to why certain things are the way they are, right? Or why people do certain things the way they do them. And in my case, like I said, for this in particular case, making something that stores easy, travels easy, freezes easy, it eases something to my life. Like the amount of or the lack of attention, right? Like it thrives on lack of attention, which chili does. Like the less I stir into chili, the better. Even though this is not good in itself, I had to season this turkey. It was starting to disappoint me how unseasoned it looked. Like it made me, it didn't entice something to go like, oh, that looks good. Now it actually looks and like I can smell it and be like, okay, it's going in this doggone chili. Oh. Nah, but I'm trying to think. There was something else other than being able to celebrate upon, but no, what ended up being, I'll just cook this real, cause beef stroganoff, hamburger helper beef stroganoff, that's, brown the meat, throw in the noodles, make sure you don't over measure, right? Because even if you under measure, you can always put that in there. Like over measuring is worse for stroganoff than under measuring, but even then, just measure at rate and you'll be fine. Simple, right? Simple. Well, I got to that hungry point where I wasn't about to go down a rabbit hole. Trying. This was already late at night, right? Like this is like right now I can go get, I can go get something from the store if I need to. At that point, I was like, well, we're just SOL, huh? Yeah, I mean, as far as eating on something or having something, as far as like prepared and eating and cooked and whatnot. Which is why when it comes to like recognizing everyone's like breaking point, you gotta recognize those breaking points. You gotta recognize those breaking points. And like I said, when it comes to having 8, not 8. Oh yeah, we got some actual chopping we have to do. I'm sitting here trying to eat the home eat. Let's see. We got our boy Cliff here. So I went ahead and put the olive oil. So the thing about this particular recipe, this recipe actually calls for me standing or me babysitting this stove for 4 hours. Now when I got the slow cooker, so what it advised to do, this is ambitious cooking or ambitious kitchen. Like I said, I just put in turkey chili because I said, you know what, if I don't have stroganoff, can't find stroganoff's not in the works right now. I'll go ahead and take one for the team as far as having a bowl of cereal, which shoot, I ain't mad. That's one thing that when it comes to looking at the generations of how people go along, be along, or the generations of what people say, you know what, I'm going to change that for the next one because I couldn't stand it. I always appreciated that. Doggone. This bag is real. That bag said, you're not getting in here. Not in the middle of the store. Nuh-uh. It sure as heck wasn't going to let me get into it now. But anyway, that's one of those things that I particularly like. That my mom dropped from the previous generation. My mom is a real big. I love cereal. It reminds me of my mom in that regard. But when she grew up, they didn't have real cereal and they didn't have real milk. That's how thin of a budget my grandmother was working in. That's how thin a margin she was working in at the time. So now, granted, they didn't have cereal like we have cereal now, right? Like now, cereal comes in Cinnamon Toast Crunch, honeycombs, Fruity Puppy, Cocoa Puffs, you know what I mean, or swirls or whatever. We have all these different cereals now that people are coming about. Which I just got word today that apparently we're boycotting cereal, but at this point, I'm like, you know what? Whatever people want to take out of context for what people are saying, by all means, take it out of context. There comes a point where you can't, get too caught up in trying to correct everybody. You won't actually say anything. You're too busy trying to correct everybody. That's the power of the internet. And I'm talking about not the internet as in as we know it and as you're on right now. No, that's the power of the internet working of people, right? It always makes me kind of laugh in regards to, I got different types of faces and places and spaces that I've been in that allow me to promote myself in whole, right? Give me 1 second while I'm sitting here to myself. So we did the olive oil. I guess you guys can turn with me. We're in the pantry. So, but there comes a point that you have people who see me. Why do I have two of these? These are those kind of things that irritate me. Because that's when I have duplicates and stuff. That's an indication of poor planning on my part, right? Unless there was a deal, and there was not a deal because they're not the same. But we'll see. Got that. But anyway, there's always this one school of thought that has me as the player who does not follow any rules, has no rules, almost like a bandit. Rebel, really. Yeah, kind of, right? They almost have me out to be this complete rogue character. Right? Not full understanding that my pedigree is in communication. And that pedigree of communication, if there's anything that has very distinct rules, you don't have to be salty about it, Carrie. If there's anything that has rules, rhyme, and reason, it's communication. Communication has that's all it is. That's all it is rules. You know what I mean? I put something in this space, and if it follows all these rules, you come out with these conclusions, right? And the best part is that if you follow all the rules to the truth of the matter, you will always end up with the truth. So that's the essence of communication. But there's always then within that realm of communication comes interpretation, right? But anyway, before I start going down that rabbit hole, 1 second to get these things together. Like I said, there came a point where I was taking inventory, and there came a point I was taking inventory, and I was like, oh, cool, we can make this, and this, and then there's always that one thing, right, that one ingredient that's left out that makes you kind of abandon the dish or the project. Not this go around. This go around, I actually went out and made the effort, right, to get. So actually the funny thing is, I didn't need anything for the chili. I needed stuff for the cornbread. So I went and got stuff. Well, I needed it called for a chili packet, but I got chili powder here. So I'm gonna be upset because chili powder's actually gone up. Like chili powder is just the combination of spices, right? It's just basically taking it in a way. Like this one right here. Wow. Spices, including chili pepper, enriched wheat, flour, fluoric acid, onion, salt, and garlic. Better Living Brands, California. Anyway, that's all chili powder is. That's all it is. But that's the only thing I got today. The recipe I got for the cornbread, because I want to make some. I need a cornbread that's gonna make me sit down and think about life a little bit. It's been a while since I've had. It's been a while since I had some cornbread that made me sit down and just think about life for a little bit. That's the kind of cornbread I want. Kind of the one that kind of make you mistake it for a cake. And you're like, no. This is cornbread. And then, with that sweet taste and that heavy of the cornbread, going with hopefully the lean nature of this chili. Because this chili don't turn out to be. I have yet to master my chili too. I have a lot of different chili recipes. I don't have a white bean chili yet. And I want to do a green hash chili, but I'll do a switch of subject right now. But before I do that, let me pick one of these out before I get too caught up. But they actually have tours down in New Mexico, speaking of green hash chili. They do it once a year. They do it about in October-ish. I think that's when season is. There is, so green hash chilies, it's kind of like champagne, it's kind of like bourbon, right? You only get this certain food from this certain region for it to be that certain food. If it does not come from that certain region, despite the fact that you may have cultivated it somewhere else, right, using the same seeds, using the same this, that, and the other, unless it comes from this district, right, this area, this limited space, unless it comes from this limited space of area, it's not authentic, right? So, I think green hatch chilies are the same way. I think they operate in the same regard as to they didn't come from this county or this area. I think New Mexico is counties too. I think the only person who is not counties is Louisiana. Louisiana, there's another one who has they call their area something different too. But Louisiana is definitely parish. What parish you from? Oh, here we go. My whole parish. Which I have to look into the background of that. I know it's French based, which I said again. It kind of goes back into the the French. Oh, how I love the French. But anyway, there's a green hatch chili that I want to make because I ended up having it when it comes down to chili cook-offs and things like that. One year I didn't participate and I ended up getting a good taste of a green hatch chili from a guy out in New Mexico, Rio Grande. Really good guy. Funny as all get out, but don't tell him that. He ended up getting some. I'm not sure if he won or not because by that time I had already been like left and gone. But that chili I want to replicate, or get back, make a nice green, almost like a green chili. Like what I mean? It's almost like it's green, yeah, it's green, man. I'll do that, and then I have a Mayday chili, and the Mayday chili ended up having all these habaneros and different things like that. As a matter of fact, I think I still have some Carolina Reapers in here, if I'm not mistaken. They were, and even the warning label told me, like, don't touch your eye. You know what, I'm not going to touch it right now, because See, the thing about warning labels for me personally, I'm usually the person writing the warning labels because I'm the one who's trying to warn you because I'm the one who hurt myself upon that, right? Like, that's usually a part of my job as being a crash test bunny. You know, hey, try this out. We're trying to make it idiot proof. First thing you gotta do when you make something idiot proof is, oh, look at there, hire an idiot. It's you today. Take this, bump it upside the head, you know, fumble around and figure out what we need to warn people about. Got it. Get there, fumble around, figure it out a lot. Again, 3 times just for good measure. And I have to write that down into a warning label. And then those are the things that kind of make me go, I wonder who's the story behind this warning label. And then that's how you end up being a tragic story. Because you become the warning label. Don't become the warning label, or don't be the reason why we have this policy in place, and that's usually my case. Indeed, like I said, there's usually the 2 sects of people who say, you are full of this chaotic nature, right? There's no rhyme, reason, or understanding of you, and then you have the other ones who are like myself, who are just off their rocker enough to rock the world, right? And understand that it's not chaos coming out of one's mouth and hands, right? It's not chaos. It's a matter of, it's just a lot of things in different places. But speaking of a lot of things in different places, let's get a focal point to this chili. And then the other thing that I have to share is this rice masher. Call it rice masher. So, look at this chili dog real quick. Start finding yourself at a touch though. When you operate in the rules too long, you operate in the boundaries, right? Without discovery of where it actually is, you start bounding yourself. The only reason why I'm voguing is because I remember that distinctly. I never knew what that was until I think he was the 3rd or the 4th. He might have been the 4th. It comes the legacy names of people, right? But this was that. For me, I went to my grandmother's house during the summertime. Right, that was the key thing you did, right? Was like, oh Lou, she don't have to talk my ear off no more. She can go talk her grandmother's ear off. They'll be perfect for each other. At least that's what I think my mom, or that's what I envision my mom saying. At least 1 or 2 summers. You know, the first summer I was probably like, oh my baby, there she go. After a certain point, though, it was like, oh, summer can't get here. at least I'll be 1 down, right? You know, as far as the sake of summertime, because summer is here. That's the thing that kind of gets me excited. Like I said, it hit me. I ended up taking today was my final. Right, I had a final for one of the 2 classes that I was attending this semester. And it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. If anything, I still kind of got it right to be able to not necessarily study on the fly. I mean, it was only a level 100 course this go around, so it's nothing really major. Like, I definitely would not recommend waiting until the last moment's notice, right? Give me a second to see what I got going on here. I feel like I should be getting 1 of these, or 2 of these, 3 of these, 4 of these. 1 onion and 1 bell pepper. Kapow, Chappelle, but I think I want. I think I want more pepper in this. Yeah, no, I definitely. Sorry, dishwasher. Going around kicking stuff. Give these a wash down real quick. It never hurts, right? Like, it doesn't hurt to do things a bath. Yeah, I mean, if you can give it a bath, why not give it a bath? It's funny how much a clean vehicle, and I'm saying this from a perspective of I can't call it facts. I can only call it experience, right? But if I have a dirty motorcycle, and this is like if I have two of the identical motorcycles, the one that's dirty or is filthy, or the one that hasn't yet be cleaned, not necessarily that it's dirty or filthy, it just has yet to be cleaned, right? But the one that's yet to be cleaned gets $500 less than the one that's currently clean, despite the fact that they are the same bike. Same value, everything, this, that, and the other. Just that one detail is already something that affects the value. But anyway, that's what the last part was on, though. The last realm of this test really wasn't about the policies that we have in place, but it was more based on morals, ethics, and values, right? And the difference between them all. Or morals, values, and ethics, if we were to put it into a row. I am complicating this in my life. Hold on, give me a second. Trying to chew gum and walk at the same time, and it's just not very successful. Trying to save everything and anything. Note to self, and yet again, the only thing worse than a sharp knife is a dull knife. Sharp knife is my best tool, and dull knife is my worst enemy. Okay. But anyway, yeah, I missed a couple of them though, and it was all just based on verbiage and wording, right? Which kind of goes back to that idea of like, oh man, people are like, well, certain professions, have no use. Certain professions are just sitting it out and just sitting it out on the backs of others. And what they don't understand is, a lot of this stuff is just reading, right? Oh, it made me so mad. So the thing that kind of had me like, so the last test, there was 3 tests, right? There was the first test of the semester, then you had the midterm, and then they had the final. And there's only 14 chapters in the book, so quite frankly, it's basically 5 chapters each. And final exam being a cumulative nature of that. So anyway, the midterm I didn't do so hot because I thought I had lost the book. Now, never ever in my life have I ever lost a book. Like, like I've had books stolen, and let me tell you, the books that I've had stolen, I'm definitely like, I ended up finding a book list of the books that I ended up getting stolen a year and a half back, and I was like, oh yes, I know what books are, like, there comes a point where I'm like, you know what, just leave me my books, man, leave me my books and then we'll be fine. Hallelujah. You haven't seen that video when I ended up recovering Watson. The one thing that I wanted out of that, I ended up getting, which was a bookmark, not necessarily a book. I guess they educate themselves elsewhere, but the bookmark I kept, or the bookmark was able to be recovered, so I was happy about that. But anyway, that's that midterm. That midterm, I didn't do too hot because I had lost the book, and I just didn't have enough enough motivation to go through the entire amount of PowerPoints that were there, and I think I even missed a day. Hold on. We're gonna get creative right here. The funny thing is, I have a food processor around here somewhere, and I feel like I have put my hands on that device at least 7 times in the last week, at least once today, every day. and anytime I need it, or gotta find it, which is why you just gotta go back to make sure you have all your tools. Right, I was able to get when it comes to starting your workstations. Right, make sure you have a clean workstation, and then make sure you have all your tools at that particular workstation. Just little things that just you learn along the way. And the thing is, you've heard these things before. We've heard these things 1,000 times. Whether it was your grandmother during the summertime, or your mom, or your dad, or your uncle, or your aunt, or your second cousin, or the neighbor up the street, right? Some of these things you've heard in your village time and time again, 1,000 times over. Then it just comes a part of like, well, are you gonna listen? You know what I mean? Like these people who have been saving this planet significantly, right? And I'm saying significantly because with the realm of the way things are going right now, I don't even think time is moving in the same. And this is just me rambling about, right? I'm crying. Be crying. I'm starting to feel it. Which is why I'm thinking about that food processor. But yeah, the time is not even moving in the same way. Like I said, I'm not saying that like this grand scheme conspiracy theory. I'm saying this as a matter of perception, right? That comes with growth. That comes with knowledge, that comes with milestones like, you know, being on a schedule, which comes with milestones like having to study and read and be aware of something, right? If anything, I did pretty well. I only missed a couple of questions, and there were questions, quite honestly, questions from most recent, like, oh man, oh, I'm crying something fierce. I know, it's okay, baby. They were from the later chapters, and for me, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, okay, so this is where you start getting into, like I said, this was an introduction course, so it's not something that I would, you can quickly get into the meat of the subjects in the introductory course, which is what introductory courses are for, right, especially at the post-secondary level. Which now that I'm thinking about it, that's exactly right. They don't have introductory courses for compulsory education. It's like, nope, this is algebra, fool. Nope, this is trig, fool. Nope, this is comparative geography. You know what I mean? Like, I think the only thing they can call it is pre. I heard a lot of people they're saying that they were pre-law or they were pre-engineering. But now I'm pre-med, which is making more sense now because you really can't, like, until you are an adult, right, who makes a conscious decision to have this as your profession, because that's what these are, right? When you start having, you have jobs, or you have work, you have jobs, then you have positions, and then you have careers, right? And from those careers, professions. And like I said, from this particular class, I had a really distinct professional teaching the class, which is always really cool. That's the first thing people would love to try to tell you about folks is, you know, the ones who can't do teach, right? You know, the ones who can do and the ones who can't teach, and that's the furthest from the truth I've ever seen in my life, personally, that's the first. Like, for me, if I walk into a room and I already kind of feel like you are just not a good teacher, and the thing is, I'm trying to think. If I ever walked out of the classroom just because the teacher made me feel like they were not a good teacher, and I will say no. I have never walked out of the class because of the teacher. Teacher being of poor quality, right? I have walked out of class because of scheduling conflicts. I have walked out of the class because of prerequisites. I have walked out of the class because of the nature of the season. But I have not walked out of class because of the teacher. Now there's probably, in my mind that I'm thinking of right now, there's probably only one class where I probably should have just walked out. Like, I probably shouldn't have stuck it out until the audit point, right? Because I'm not a quitter. I'm just not a, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, is sometimes it's not a matter of, and I know a lot of people are like, well, yeah, I'm not a quitter. Yeah, see, there's a difference between being a quitter and a navigator, right? And I'm saying, for me, I should have navigated that, i.e. I should have quit that class while I was ahead, right? I should have navigated myself to better use of my time than feeling like I am never going to understand this teacher. Because they had a really, really thick accent, which is nothing against them, right? Like, you can totally, like, I could totally see that they were the genius that they drew on the board, right? Like, I could totally see that in regards to what they were talking about and this physics that I'm going on about. But their accent was just so thick that it made it very, very hard for me to concentrate, because I was getting so frustrated with the idea that I could not hear this person speaking. Like it was frustrating. Like I was sitting more frustrated than anything. But by the time I actually had that conversation loud enough for myself to hear, like, hey, you know, you're not doing too well in this class. It's starting to, you know, affect your health in a way that's not healthy, right? Like, you're starting to stress about this class. And the moment you start stressing about a class, I can tell you right now, you're not going to be learning very much because you're stressed. You know what I mean? You're stressed. And that was 10 years ago. I'd be tragically damned if you think that a class today, in this moment, in these times, right here, right now, is going to stress me out. Yeah, a class is not going to stress me out. You know, and I'm saying that as far as, like, if it does, then, you know, don't want pepper or two. Let's see what cuts up. You know what? I'll use one. I forgot about you, cereal. You over here getting soggy on me. It's okay. Yeah, no, that's the only class I can think of. I remember distinctly, like, they were in the middle of talking. I literally packed up all my books, got up, wiped down my chair, and left. And never came back. I just couldn't take it anymore. I just could not take it anymore. Ended up passing the class with a different teacher the next semester, but I was just like, oh my gosh. No, but this teacher was really cool, and like I said, really professional, and definitely capable of giving prime examples as to how it works in a working world, right, versus working in a book world. Everything works theoretically, right? When you work in a theoretical, like I said, when you start to talk about work and jobs and positions versus careers versus professions, there's by the book, right? The book eliminates the human factor, right, of theory. Yeah, I want this part because this is where that fat's gonna lay in there. And that's how you lose a doggone finger. But which reminds me, I still need to go buy those. I need to go buy those hand cutting gloves. To give a little update, like I said, tonight we was doing chili. Cause I figured you guys were tired of watching me. You know, there's only so many ways to cut a lemon, right? So give you a little bit more insight that this kitchen does a little bit more than just lemonade. But as far as that update on Life with Lemons, we'll be back with updates that are sizable with whoa. Sizable with whoa, right? They're gonna make you go whoa, but for now though, I do have the rice masher. I think that's what it's called. I hope that's what it's called. I feel like it's going to be called something else, right? Rice. So I think it's called a rice masher or a rice, not rice strainer, rice puller. Rice, I want to say rice masher. And we're going to see, because what ended up happening, just to kind of switch topics, from saying like, yay, I successfully completed my first semester into an associate's, and I see others out there who are graduating, or I see others out there who have loved ones who are graduating. Congratulations, keep going. Like I got advice earlier today, keep educating yourself. You're here for a reason, to do those things, and that's to demonstrate, right, knowledge at work. But don't overeducate yourself, right? Educate yourself, but don't overeducate yourself. Because again, in theory, in book, fine. Everything is fine, dandy, and black and white in writing. It's not until you step into the color of the world, right? The color of the people that promote those black and white words that make you kind of realize, there's only so much we can capture. There's only so much we can capture if we are not actually in practice, right? If we're only in practicum, or if we're only in pages, we cannot actually see or produce, because it's not, you have to actually, have to put in the work, put in the dirt, put in the work. You gotta put in that work. Let's finish this work real quick. Take me to church. Okay. Oh, I forgot. We're gonna use a little corn in this recipe. Oh yeah! I personally, sometimes depending on the chili, right, I like stuff to be in small chunks because I like to be able to put it on a cracker and go about my life. Which reminds me, the origin of the word cracker. I feel like every culture has like literally like the essence of a cracker, whether it be a saltine, a buttery, a Ritz, a wavering. A cracker is a cracker is a cracker, right? Wrong. Wrong. But more on that later. Back to you, Ollie. Back to you, Chopper Dave. Chopper, find out who the original Chopper Dave was. I feel like Chopper Dave, like the original Chopper Dave Dave was that character. Which would be kind of interesting, you to see the origin of these stories, right? Because it's always funny how things come about, which is the next time we'll be working on. I'll let everyone that surprise. Give me a second. Surprise is a place in Arizona. If you ever get a chance, go look up Sunset in Surprise, Arizona. That's where they get that purple from. That's where that orange comes from. That's where that red and those yellows. When you start seeing certain colors, the colors that a state brings out in their teams, or the state brings out in their people, you start recognizing. You're like, oh, that's where you get that color from. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like Sahara purple out here in Nevada, it's its own purple. You know what I mean? Like, it's its own purple. Battleborn blue is its own Battleborn blue. Same thing with the scarlet. The red of the rebel is very distinct. It's very distinct. The rest of these people out here. Where was I going? I started going on about crackers, but we can let that one go. I just like having small chunks in the chili so that when I actually pick it up with some doggone saltines, it doesn't rip off. But to think that, every culture has the equivalent of this, that, or the other. And I feel like, if you took a survey of crackers, right, different crackers around the entire world, to think like, okay, well, what's the difference between a cracker and a cookie, right? The same with the basis of being the difference between a pie and a cobbler, which, by the way, is the shape, right? A pie must be round. If it isn't a square tin, it is not a cobbler. Argue with your mama. Okay, so we did the olive oil, we got the onion, we need to get these, first garlic is the way to go, but I think we're going to I think we're gonna take some ease. I think we're gonna take some ease in our day. Yeah. Ease and lays. Let's see. We got more than enough meat, right? Seasoned, ready to go. Tablespoon. So let's get this table. I saw something move. It moved and I moved and we moved together. You dip, I dip, we dip. Yeah.
You dip, I dip, we dip.
One of these days. Okay. The game's all here. I was going on a tangent somewhere. Like I felt myself going somewhere. And this is what kind of happens, right? As you go about it. I felt myself going somewhere. It was going somewhere. Sometimes I let the train leave the station, right? But yeah, I'm ready for the summertime now. Summertime. Let's measure this out. So we need to have 4 cardiac loaves mixed, right? So if I was to look at that, I'm gonna look and kind of go by hand, right? One. I'm not someone who hates garlic too, so it doesn't bother me. I know some people it's too overwhelming for their sensibilities, right? Or their allergies or whatever have you. Not here and not for my chili, right? Let's took a foot and a fork. We're doing 4 tablespoons of chili powder. So I have 2 types of chili powder, like I said. I have 2 that kind of make me go, which one here, which one there. I'll go ahead and use the one that I got, I'm guessing. One's from Kroger and one's from Whole Foods. We'll go ahead and go for the whole set, right? Now, unless we're trying to avoid a certain level of explosion, I really don't put myself 1, 2, 3, 4. Makeup. I always use that last one to make up for anything that may or may not have made it. 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of cumin. Stripper. Sorry, I got my music going in the background, which is one of those things I always get excited for. I always look forward to is the summer lineup of music. Because Lord knows, I haven't really listened to the radio this spring season, as far as, you know, everyone's coming out with their own set of diss track, which I'm like, great, is the season, you know, the summer all about disrespect? Is that what I'm hearing? If the summer's about disrespect, then just respectfully leave me out, right? Color me out, and I'll sit over here with my fireworks and hot dog. Like, don't even bother me with that. You know what I mean? That's how we're gonna walk into the season. But I don't think that's what it's about. We're gonna see what kind of turn and tides come on the radio in the next coming weeks. You know, once June hit, that's when them tracks gotta hit. Like I said, I haven't heard the first summer baddie, right? I haven't heard the first summer boss yet, but we'll see. We'll even see where people are going, because like I said earlier, you know, when you look at a place and you recognize, like, this is where that person gets these colors from, or this is where that person gets that spirit. I'm talking about spirit of the land, spirit of the people, spirit of the community. It starts to make more sense, right? It starts to make more sense as to, you know, why things are the way they are. We only have 1 teaspoon of oregano, but oregano is also one of those things where I don't feel like you can have too much. A small pigeon, a smidgen pigeon is a fourth of a teaspoon? So how is a fourth of a teaspoon any different than a pinch? We're gonna find out today. That's it, right? pinch the inch to the foot to the roll, you know. Let's see. Salt, we can always add more. I have 1 can of tomatoes. So we work in a FIFO environment, meaning first in, first out. So I already had some well, that's a development in works. Okay. So we work in a, like I was saying, we work in a first in, first out kitchen. I already had a FIFO kitchen, and I already had a can of diced tomatoes. So one thing that the recipe did call for, that the chicken broth be only a half, right? Because in the original recipe that it wanted me sitting over the stove for 4 hours, or babysitting a pot, right? It had to add a cup and a fourth, right? A cup and a quarter cup. No, a cup and a quarter. Wait, yeah, cup and a half, cup and a quarter. It's funny how those things come when you start saying them out loud. But anyway, half that chicken broth. Go ahead and plug you in. Like the bad thing you are. Plug it in. Which, if you're not familiar, one of the projects I had to do years ago, and so I've been remembering, Old Sparky. Old Sparky was the last electric chair. Not electric wheelchair. Old Sparky was the last electric chair, and I think it was out of Florida. It was not uncommon for people who got sentenced to Old Sparky. It was not uncommon for them to be set on fire. That's kind of against the idea of cruel and unusual punishment, right? You would think that someone setting you on fire. Oh snap! So these on a side note, instead of talking about set people on fire. These were the green chilies. Those green ash chilies, man. I gotta make some chili with that. Don't try to confirm how many tomatoes come in here. You got 1 can? Had to read again, confirm, read, trust it, verify, read again, read. Oops, it smells more like salsa, but we'll be okay. Just got it. See it? I like it. Yeah, I am ready for the summer lineup, baby. Summertime. That's what's left of this last batch, and let me tell you, it went down completely better than a lot of the batches that I've had. But like I said, by the time you get an update, a full update on that. Still slightly over. That's okay. I thought maybe we had 1 perfect glass. We had glass and refill. Let's see, that color's not too bad. Still working on the sugar output, if I'm being honest. I want lemonade, not Kool-Aid. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah! I remember this. Oh, that could have been dangerous. So, let me tell you this shorthand experience of how spoiled and how uninformed and naive one can be if you're not careful with your perceptions. Alright? I went to college, and I had this notion that college dormitories were very much and very similar to that of hotel rooms. That, you show up to a hotel room, and the hotel room has linens, and a couple of toiletries. But aside from that, that's about it, right? So I thought that my dorm room had sheets and pillows and stuff. Come to find out, it did not. And from that, I said, okay, well, we felt it was more important to bring 7 decks of cards. You're gonna hear this story over and over again because it's very intricate to tragic as a character and figure. These are the things you start learning about yourself along the way. But if I had to cut that story all the way off, right, like that story is definitely one that, like I said, you're gonna hear that one again and again and again. But long end of it is, do not forget your can opener. Everything in the world and not a can opener, right? So all the can. Well, are you gonna open your mind to that opportunity? Are you gonna open your mind? Can you open your mind? Do you have an opener? Don't get me started, because I'm telling you, it's one of those ones that there I was with Jesus stories. In the middle, right? In the middle. Stuck in the middle with you. Clowns to left me and jokers to my right. Here I am. Give me 1 second, guys. Chicken broth. Okay, so these do have to be drained. I was wondering, so I was like, I don't think we want these to be fully in the juice, right? Because for me, that's all the stuff that I want gone when I actually use beans from scratch, right? Which you want to talk about the first time I learned some things about myself. The first time I tried to go into a whole tizzy and frizzy of health food, right? So let me tell you right now, in my household growing up, what we had for dinner was food. What kind of food? Good food. What kind of good food? The kind of good food you eat. There really was not necessarily a discussion to be had about what we're having for dinner or what is to be served or what we're gonna cook tonight or what we're gonna cook together. Right? That's not the way it worked. It kind of worked very much like what's in the fridge or what's being cooked right now. And if nothing, because by the time we started getting older, it started really being nothing, because then that's when we started going out to eat. Right? Going out to eat or being able to fix whatever we want to fix for ourselves. Oh my goodness gracious. Anyway, so the first time I was on my good kick, right? When I said good kick, I mean one with a focus that was so deadly. I'll call it deadly. It was a deadly focus because there was nothing, right? There was nothing that was going to stop me. I mean, even to this day, that focus is still fairly tangible, right? Catch me on the right day, which is every day. Any day that ends in Y. But catch me on the right day, and you won't feel so left out in knowing that when you decide to make changes, right? You're gonna start from a place of ignorance. The place of ignorance I started on the first food kick. Like I said, I say food kick because I had never had different foods, right? Like different food was never something like I didn't grow up with hummus in the house. You know what I mean? And I didn't realize that hummus and chickpeas were the same thing. Hummus, chickpeas, and what's the other thing? Like it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing, but we didn't grow up with that stuff in the house. And it's not because we didn't like it. I'm assuming, right? But there comes a point where, when you have 4 kids, when you get a menu, you stick with it. Like if you have a menu that works, just kind of roll with that, right? Let's see. Oh, hey, look, there's some cereal here. Oh, it's candy. Get this turkey in here. Why does that feel so complicated? something feels complicated, it's on you. The world is simple. If it starts getting complicated, that's on you. You have no one to blame but yourself. The world is not that, the world is not that complicated. It really isn't. So if you feel like your world is getting complicated, I'm here to burst your bubble. It's your fault. You know what I mean? Like, just take the L, and learn from it, right? Like, that's what the L is meant to be. It's not meant to say that you lost, it's meant to say that you learned something. Take the L, and learn on. Okay. So I feel something is amiss here. Before we get too comfortable, the rest of the thing that really ends up happening for me personally is, you do all this cooking, you do all this activity, right? And then, of course, you gotta put yourself back in place. We gotta put the kitchen back in place. We gotta put whatever. You gotta put the workstation back in place. And for some, they're like, well, I don't want to do that, right? I always want to have the fun part. I just want to do the fun part and not have to worry about the cleanup. And it's like, well, how do you think we get to do the fun stuff, dude? You know what I mean? Like, you think you just woke up in this kitchen was like, right now I'm channeling not another grandmother. I'm channeling my paternal grandmother when I said it. Was like, you thought you just woke up and the kitchen was clean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we made a mess last night. You just woke up and the kitchen's clean. How do you think that happened? Things that make kids go, you're right, because this was a mess last night. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it is not just fairies and elves and gnomes that come at night and handle stuff. Oh, this is, the efforts, right? Which is always that kind of thing that kind of makes me kind of think, right? As to why certain efforts, I say certain efforts, and what I really mean by this, and like I said, I think this is just me talking out the side of my neck and to not recognizing what it is not, because I am not in that category of people, right? So it's outside looking in, right? How much for the puppy in the window? But kind of like a matter of like, why would you ever hide? Why would you ever hide the effort necessary for something to be? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like not sharing the effort of what something is to be is the crime. Right, and I don't mean crime as in like criminal. I'm saying crime as in like the infraction or the problem that I see that's really at hand. You know what I mean? Like, why would you allow someone to believe that something is simple or easy? You know? Just because. Even though I guess that's the basis of faith. So we really can't go much further than that. I think today's verse of the day was either 1 Peter 5:8 or it was I think it was 1 Peter 5:8. Which, and it's essential, and I might be completely wrong on the location, right? When it comes to like those places, that's really more of locational, and then you start getting into the actual word. But long story short, it's to demonstrate, right? Not just walk it. Excuse me, not just talk it, but walk it. Going back to that. If you don't talk it, then walk it, demonstrate it. Let's take this back to chopper days. Okay. But yeah, if you're gonna walk it, if you're gonna talk it, then walk it. If you're gonna walk it, then continue to walk it. Clearly, right? In truth. Now, follow your uniform. We got it. Did it. Got it. Let's just make sure I got everything that's supposed to be in there. Yep. See, it said reduce to half a cup for slow cooker. 15 ounces, 12 ounces, perfect. We don't need all that much corn, right? This thing's trying to hurt somebody. We have to write that warning label. What's the treasure story behind that warning label? You dare ask? You dare ask. If you dare ask, I celebrate the tell. Those are the rules we're following now. Okay. One moment. Because this thing is way too thin for one moment. It's way too thin. Yeah, no, there has to be something in here for it to actually cook off of, which I have to feel like it's trying to tell me. I am going to disregard the recipe and just kind of top it off with a little bit more, probably half of a cup more of chicken broth, and then I already kind of see what's going to happen here. Yeah, I can see where the beans are going to give it that consistency. I can see where the heat or the water that's in those peppers is going to add into it. But I also can kind of see where, I want this chili to actually be done by the time I come back. I don't like coming back to a chili that I have to come back to. Like when the chili is done, the chili is supposed to be done. I'm not trying to fight with no more. You know what I mean? Like when the chili's done, it's supposed to be done. I'll come back to this. I'll give it 2 hours and show me what you got. Show me what you got. Well, I'll let time tell, right? I'll let time on the clock tell me what it's about. But it's gonna be good. That's the one thing I can't say. When you start realizing, upon the reality that with good hands, right? When good hands make things, they will be good. So as long as you keep your hands good, the things you make will be good. A little salty at times, but good. A little salty though, let's be real. Which kind of reminds me, I think this needs to go back. I actually might be using this here. So I didn't even realize. I knew the quality of salt mattered, but I didn't realize it mattered that much. You start going down to the bougie holes, and I say bougie holes because it's bourgeoisie, right? Or the echelon, or the tiers, the classes, right, of people and ingredients. For people to think that this salt's better than that salt, this salt's different than that salt. It's true, right? It's true. These are all different things. And how to describe one over the other is true. So it's not that they're not speaking they're speaking in fact. It's just one of those things of, are you splitting a hair, or are you splitting a hair, or are you trying to be definitive and distinctive in what you're doing? You know what I mean? As far as, you can't use that, you gotta use this, right? You can't use that, you gotta use this. Almost like the baking powder versus baking soda, right? They are not the same thing. Parchment paper and wax paper, they're not the same thing, right? There's a reason, there's a reason why they're different. Which one reason why I get a kick out of, see, as it reads right here, did you know that it's important to have more than one type of salt in your kitchen? Try more Himalayan pink salt in fine and coarse grains. Yeah, choosing the right grain size can make a difference in your meals. Yep. So, anyway, it kind of reminds me as far as what that character's name is, right? The morning girl. Trust, this is 1848. 1848. before the war. The Civil War, that was before the war. Yeah, no, not the Great War. It was definitely before the Great War. Which is funny because, you know, during the time of the Great War, I love history books that call Great War, World War One. So I'm like, if you're looking at it from a historical point of view, you wouldn't call World War One World War One because then you're assuming World War Two, right? Despite the fact that World War Two was worse than World War One, but the Great War and World War Two are to me more appropriate as World War One versus World War Two. I don't even think we even have any more World War veterans walking around. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think, like, if someone was born, because they had to be born in 1911, 1913. Yeah, no, that's 100 years old. We got some people living around here who's 100 and this, 100 and that. Man. But thank you, Cliff. We are now complete in that regard. Let's take a look at this thing. So the one thing that I messed up, right, was yeah, woo, that's a smell. That's a smell indeed. That's a real smell. Hold on. That is definitely something that has been marinating in vinegar for a minute and a half. When I say a minute, I mean a whole hot minute. Not a cool minute. That give you kind of a shiver. Talk about a hot minute. Yeah, these things are soft. And breaking. Look at that. Which reminds me, it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm gonna have a batch ready by 5:17 in time of day of prayer, but yeah, this right here is giving me definitely insight as to what's to come for these next sets of lemons. I'm usually all about composting, but for the sake of it being used for cleaning material, they've been reused. They're fine. It kind of sucks because the compost that I maintain is vermin compost, which means there's living things in it. In my case, it is red wigglers, and they don't like citrus, right? You have to be very, and it's not to say that you can't ever put citrus in it, but you have to be very cognizant not to overload the batch with citrus, because worms do not like it. It's too acidic for their liking. So you're just basically sitting them in a pool full of acid, right? And I don't think I would want to sit in a pool full of acid either. So the one thing that I messed up, right, when I was doing research to get this clean, the first time I was like, you know what, I'll just use vinegar and baking soda. That makes great volcanoes, so I'm sure it'll make great cleaning stuff, right? Like, it's all good. Well, the one thing I did, and I thought I was being smart, right, doing this, I thought I was being smart by I had a fan blowing on this, right? Like, I had a fan that was straight up blowing on this, and it's, thinking that was going to be the appropriate way to dry this, and based on further research, the moment the research told me don't do that was not the reason, but the moment the research told me, by the way, don't do this, I turned over and this thing started rusting again, right, from the original state that I had it in. So you're now just tuning into what this is. This is a rice smasher, and I recovered this from my grandmother's shed, right? Grandmother's got some things moving around and wants, great things go down to the generations, right? And so this is one of the great things that I was able to recover within that generational find, or that generational go-to. And it was really, and not necessarily, it wasn't in poor shape. I'll call it, it wasn't in bad shape. It didn't have any dings or anything like that. So it was definitely something that I still wanted to use. I just wanted to make sure that it was clean and clear to use. I mean, look at that, like, you can see one's reflection, right? Like, you couldn't even see that when I first got this thing, right? So So the one thing I did wrong was I air dried it. The second thing I did wrong and I didn't realize until, again, research goes, you big dummy, is I took a hard brush to this when in reality you're really only supposed to take a soft brush or a soft touch to these things. So the two things we're going to do different. So I had to create a whole new batch of cleaning solutions. So this is white vinegar, water, because I got impatient along the way, kind of, and lemons, right? I had a whole top of lemons in there. Because the lemons, so at first I just had this in white vinegar and water, thinking, and baking soda, that's the other thing too. And baking soda, thinking that was going to be enough. Come to find out, it actually was the lemons that actually eats at the rust, right? And rust is the oxidization of iron, right? Or it's basically, the touching of air for these things. So the thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you one good wipe down, right? I think this batch of cleaning is good, but for now, I'm just going to leave this rag in here. Might be able to use this on the toilet later if I'm being honest, because it's still cleaning solution. It's not something I can use in the kitchen anymore, right? But those two now in drying. I had to think about it. I was like, there's nothing insanely too interesting about drying things, right? You see the shape of it. There's only so much drying can be interesting. I think it's just a good start, though. Like I said, a good start to the end is a good meal. So we're gonna get this turkey chili, right? Everybody, their mama, their daddy, their uncle, and their dog next door crying for it. So we're gonna make it for them. That's what we're gonna do. Get that out the way. I feel good about it. What started off as a stroganoff unknown, right, has now turned back into just being a good old chili like it is. Like I said, I got that off of Ambitious Kitchen. The healthiest or the best chili you could possibly have is how they advertise it. We'll see. This is honestly this is my first turkey chili, like making a turkey chili, right? I'm definitely someone who's probably more of a ground beef, right? Got that beef chili. But we'll see though. It was interesting, like I said, to ground it up and see it. So now we're gonna see what it looks like to do that. That's what it was though. The different world of crackers. I'm sure every country has their own, like, that's a cracker. No, that's a cracker. No, this is a cracker. Don't get me started, because it almost threw me for a whole loop. No, but I am ready for the summer though. Life with Lemons is getting less lame by the day, and I'm saying that to say that it's still in Le Mochon, right? Which is just lame-o, right? Lame-o assumptions. Sometimes lame-o assumptions are what, get yourself where you need to be. Sometimes those lame-o assumptions is about to get you to where you need to be. What did I tell y'all? I told y'all Mother's Day is this weekend. I'm getting down to the last wire. And that's we're working that pattern out. Right, the pattern of procrastination. And procrastination is just battled with proper planning, right? Like, at a certain point, like right now, I'm planning for the weekend. You know what I mean? Like it's only Tuesday going on Wednesday, right? Only Tuesday going on Wednesday, and I'm already planned out for the weekend. Like I'm over it. You know, I'm saying that to say like you just don't have to think about it, right? I thought about it once, I don't want to think about it again. Again, I never think. So it's always the thinking again. The thinking again, right? The thinking is not what's tiring. It's the thinking again. Comes a point, right? Comes a point that procrastination can be solved with planning. But you can't overplan. You know, just like they say, don't overeducate yourself. Don't overplan, because when you plan, God laughs. And that right there, that one comes from a really good friend of my mine, but I only come find out that it truly is. That's scripture as well. You If you overplan, God laughs. It doesn't say that verbatim and for word, but that's pretty much the basis of it, right? So have faith and relax. God's in control. Never not been the case. You know what I mean? And again, if you find yourself in a complicated state, you might want to back up and recognize that's you. You know what I mean? Like, it's complicated because of you, right? Things have complexities. Things are complex. That's not to say that everything is simplistic and bunnies and rainbows, right? Like, you know, snails and puppy tails. It's not that simple. If it was that simple, we would have been fine years ago, decades ago, centuries ago. We would have been okay. So I'm looking at this as I'm sitting here hand drying it. Because they say, and I say they because like I said, I'm doing some internet research. They promote that it's not that rust is unhealthy. It's just that it changes the taste, right? It changes the taste of some of the things that you work with. So, if you're not careful with the way it gets in there. Now, in this regard, this would be my home tool, right? Because it's a family tool, right? But in production, I would actually go get probably better ones than this. This one's it's just been sitting in the shed for at least a decade. Like I haven't even seen her use this. You know what I mean? That's why I didn't even know what it was called. And now I'm looking at it, it's part of his makeup, right? Part of his makeup is to be rusted. That's part of it. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see it all cleaned up, but a little disappointing, right? A little disappointing to kind of recognize that it's not going to be a production object. But that's okay, right? Not everything is for productive use. You know what I mean? Some things are purely for happiness. Purely for happiness. Not everything has to be productive use. If you make everything a productive use, then you measure your value on how productive you are, and that's not always the case. Some days you don't produce not a doggone thing. You know what I mean? Well, at least it's now hand dried. I'll use it for something else, but at least now I know, right? It's clean. It's rice masher. I'm gonna use it for, like I said, when I was making lemonade the other day, and part of the recipe called for straightening out the secrete of the lemon, or the flavor of the lemon. I use it with boiling hot water, and I use it with my bare hands, which it's always when you Johnny Badass, when you realize that you are not, in fact, Johnny Badass. Use it with my bare hands, and I was able to do it, but you could tell that you hurt yourself, right? Go back to just a minute, you hurt yourself. You could tell that you hurt yourself, and for me, I would just prefer, right, like, I hurt myself doing that. You know what I mean? It came down to having a group of people who I'm with, or having a procedure, or having a protocol, right? Having those rules. In this chaotic world that I live in, chaos everywhere. In this chaotic world I live in, it comes down to the idea of like, hey, that's not the way you do that, or there's a better way to do that, or hey, you're gonna get hurt doing that, right? Where's the warning label? Where's the warning label? What's the tragic story behind that? Well, the tragic story behind that is I burnt myself, and I don't want other people burning themselves. So how about that? Meet me outside. How about that? That's one of those people I'm like, I wonder what they're doing today. Because my royalty checks had to stop a long time ago at a certain point. At a certain point. But anywho, thank y'all for joining me tonight with a bowl of cereal. Right? Let's look it out. By the time I post this up, I'll figure out what the series is going to be called. Because like I said, I didn't do anything with lemons more so than just have my glass of sweet old lemonade right here. Which I ended up using the lemonade calculator, and he's pretty much on point to it. I will give them. So one thing I did for that particular batch of lemonade is I took the recipe to the T, took a cup out, and then half a cup of super sweet, or half a cup of secret sauce, or half a cup of secret stuff. It was just a sugar mixture, right? That sugar syrup that I made from the zestings, and it's not too bad. Like I said, just a reminder, it's lemonade, not Kool-Aid. But we'll step into those realms. Hopefully, everything in the audio about this made it. If no one's told you that they love you today, know that I do. Always have, always will. It's just a matter of being able to show you that love in the way that I can. Sometimes that's just by saying it, right? Most times that's by showing up. Other times that's by having good prayer. And I pray without ceasing. So, you all have a great day. Enjoy your day. Come back later. Come find out how this chili turned out. And we'll see what we got going on. But in the meantime, in between time, stay out of trouble and keep your head up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up.